Hey guys, Infidel1258 here. Today I want to talk to you about old alpha cards, beta cards, what's their place in the evolving meta. We've seen a division between wild and modern. That's the old cards versus the new. We've seen new rebellion cards coming to the marketplace. We've seen even Chaos Legion, which is there's so many new sets and many more to come. Will there be a place for these old cards in a substantive way within the economy of Splinterlands in the future of this game, or will they fall to the wayside in a crevice cast aside by the changing meta? I think it's worth discussing. Let's get into it today. If you're new to my channel, my name is Dwayne Cunningham. I go by Infidel1258. You call me 12. Drop comments below on any video and I'll try and address them. If I turn them into a video, I'll try and send thank yous, so leave your IGN. As I'm looking forward to Rebellion, this conversation kind of comes to mind, and I begin to want to think this through again. I've talked about this in many ways over the years. My view on card assets within Splinterlands is that they are deflationary in nature. When you have 1 BCX of a card and it's a level 1, when you have a common, you need 400 copies in order to turn that into a max level. That means you're deleting copies forevermore. There's never a restoration of those copies. There's never a new printing of that card. And so there's deflation in the supply. And as there's a shrinking supply with an increasing demand, the price should go up. So that's my argument for why these cards are interesting from an investment standpoint, and why I like this game, because they're rewarding you for your time and attention with these assets that can appreciate wildly. That's my thesis for why this game is special. And I stand by that. As I look at these alphas and betas that I own, you know, my thought is that these are going to always have a certain role within the game. You know, at minimum, these cards are going to have a distinct advantage within land. They're going to have a bonus within the rank rewards. They're going to have a role within the guild battles to give you access to, you know, greater success within certain guild frays. And that's going to mean more merits, which is going to mean more gladiators, which is going to mean more rank reward success, because you can play with those gladiators in the rank game. So if the question is simple as, will these cards always have utility? The answer is a resounding yes. And if you want to even go one step further and say, will these cards always have a degree of demand? I think, again, you can give a resounding yes. But the conversation I really want to have is more about the complexity of the evolving meta within Splinterlands. And we can look at Chaos Legion, and we can see what Untamed even did, and we can go imagine forward with Rebellion and what those summoners are supposed to do, and the new abilities, 5 new abilities in that set, dual Splinter summoners in that set, summoner tactics, which is like items and spells 0.5, totally transforming the battlefield, allowing you to make decisions that change how the battle will unfold after you see the battle, your opponent's team, dramatically altering the type of game and play that this game has, and changing it in a massive way. So it's like, as the meta shifts, because that's a meta shift, you're getting these new summoners, it's going to change how the game plays. That's absolutely going to change the meta. You might even call it power creep. That's another term people throw around when they talk about collectible card games. If this is the flesh column, it's an alpha, it's a beta card. If they release another green tank for their Splinter, and it's 6 mana, and it does, you know, similar stats, you can imagine, you know, melee focus damage with similar stats at the diamond level for a common card, except for maybe it does 5 damage, and maybe the speed is 4, and maybe the hearts are 12, and maybe it has 1 armor, and maybe it has flight. That's called power creep. Now, they kind of have that card. That card is the I forget his name right now. The Pellicor Mercenary, 7 mana, 3 damage, 4 speed, 1 armor, 11 retaliate, heal, flying. Now, it does have 1 less hit point. It has I think 1 less damage at the max level. Is this power creep? The thing is, it depends on the context. And that's the one thing they've been able to beautifully do with this game, is they create just enough distinction across cards that there really is a niche for this Pelacor Mercenary. When you have earthquake damage, flying is amazing. If you have magic opponents, void is amazing. But if you add void to the Pelacor Mercenary with a summoner, perhaps like through the Immortalis summoner that drops them, you see what I'm saying? Like, not only is it a conversation around power creep, isn't just a conversation around how does the Pelacor Mercenary compare to how does the Flesh Golem look. It's about how does the Pelacor Mercenary compare within its context. Chaos Legion, the summoners available for that splinter. What about the neutrals? What about the dragons? Because they can partner. There's different synergies with different monsters. And so power creep is happening even when card design is thoughtful, because Pelacor Mercenary is what definitely was thoughtful around how it compared to other green tanks. And I'm sure this conversation was thought of, the comparison with the Flesh Golem. And yet it is very similar. And as you start to partner this with other synergies on the green team, I think you can agree that power creep has happened. So in one sense, while I argued for the first couple minutes that I think we're always going to have a value for these older cards, the alphas, the betas, they're going to have a role in guild brawls, they're going to have a role in tournaments, they're going to have a role in wild. What is happening in wild is that all new cards are playable there. And so, you know, if you don't have this card, you could have this card. And depending on the synergies and the rule sets and the mana cap, that is close enough. And so there is power creep happening around us. New cards sometimes suffice to cover old needs that you might cover with a different card altogether, but because of its age and scarcity, being an alpha or beta, it ends up not being attainable. There just isn't enough of them. And so you reach for another option. And this is one example, but man, there are so many. As you begin to look at some of the old cards, you can see that there's a death card with a flying, it's like an enchanted defender, I forget the name of it right now. Thorns, 1 damage. There's as I look at every one of these cards, I think there are very similar elements on the existing splinters, or something similar in an adjacent splinter in the modern realm. So why do I need to go back and buy these old cards? Maybe I don't. Because one, the modern league is human to human, meaning there's fewer players, meaning there's better rewards, meaning maybe I just want to focus on that. Also, there's less card expectations because I don't need to have those alphas and betas. So it's this avenue and this path to buying fewer cards and having greater success. And the one caveat is that you need to keep up with the Joneses. So right now you need Untames and Chaos to thrive in modern, but eventually you're going to need Rebellion. If you don't have Rebellion, you're not going to be one of the top gamers in modern. So staying in modern might have better rewards and have fewer card sort of expectations about you, but you have to stay on top of the modern releases in a way that's not so true with wild. You can get away with you have a broader depth of options in the wild. And so, you know, you can play with the Flesh Golem, you can play with the Pelacor Mercenary, you can play with, you know, something entirely different and have success in that wild format. And I guess where I end up landing is I still believe that these old cards are going to have the great value that they already do. This used to be a penny, it's 30 cents. Even in the bear market, 39 cents if you want to buy the 1 BCX low buy. Like, that's a huge multiplication of what it used to be. And yet it's a bear market reduced price. This is a deal, but it's a massive multiplier on where it used to be. I believe these old alphas and betas are going to continue to stand strong in their price appreciation because of the bonuses they give you on rank, because of the tournaments, the sort of selective opportunities they create for you in tournaments and in guild brawls, and then the bonuses and benefits they provide on land when land is going to launch. But having said all of that, that's a very almost niche argument for why one should seek after older cards. Because on the complete other side of the spectrum, if you want just functionality within the rank reward experience, you want to have an access to playing the game, You know, it is objectively cheaper, faster, easier, better to have access to Chaos, Untamed, and eventually Rebellion and whatever comes next. Because why? Those packs are printed in greater number. Therefore, they are cheaper to acquire. Therefore, it's less expensive to buy a deck that is functional and allows you to win at a high level. My deck is mostly Chaos Legion and reward cards, and I compete at the highest levels in this Champion to usually, that's in Modern, while I'm fighting for myself with my own sort of talent or ineptitude, however you want to look at it, because I'm not the best, but I can make it up into Champ 2. 3,800, 3,900 rank points, I think, is where I topped out last season. So my last season rating was 38-31 at the end of the season. Or maybe that was my max, I don't know. And 143 wins and 333 battles. Ooch. I'm not special, but I'm mostly a chaos and reward card carrier, and yet I have a high degree of success. So again, it's easier, cheaper, faster, more convenient to participate in the Modern League and acquire these more prolific, more common cards. And so then what's that appetite for the old? It comes from the select collective audience. It comes from the ongoing expectation that the team will honor those older cards through tournaments, through guild brawl frays, through greater bonuses within land production, or whatever else, you know, even the battle, whatever case they can make, that they will continue to grow and honor those at higher percentages of yield, so that they will always be respected in a certain way. Collectability being one part of it, production and sort of effectiveness within production and staking being the second wing of it. And yes, there's scarce. Yes, there's fewer copies. So yes, they should carry value as long as those first 2 points, collectability and production power from it, end up being honored by the game. And I think the game will, because they've always pointed to that. They've always done that so far, and I don't see them changing it now. So I think where we land the plane is, are alphas and betas going to be within the meta forever? I think almost distinctly no. As I look at these alphas and betas, you know, there are a few of these. Hang on, where are they? Yeah, here. There are a few of these that are pretty special. Crustacean King still gets a lot of play in the wild format. Cobalt Miner's a really excellent card. Assassin, exceptional card. This is yeah, that's an old reward card already. Wow. Some of these cards are excellent, and some of them are just whatever. And that's going to be true of every edition ever. But the thing about a game like this that's really exciting is that there's always a collectible audience, and there's always an opportunity to provide a certain degree of utility that is more than just its in-game functionality. Like I said, bonuses on land, bonuses in tournaments, access to certain tournaments that you can't play any other way, etc. And from that perspective, it gets to a place where you can justify ownership of these things. And I think I want to finish with one final thought. As we look forward for what Rebellion might bring to the game, as you maybe craft your deck is in this transition season, as we move away from Untamed and toward Rebellion in the Modern League, I want you to think through what has preserved its value from the alphas and betas and what has maybe not. And primarily, I think you're going to find that summoners are going to be one of those ones that are always going to garner good rental values, are always going to garner, you know, a relatively high sale value because of their scarcity, yes, but because of the utility. Summoners have always been special. So right now, it might make sense for some of you guys. I see you selling your kitties, your Yodens, your llamas for cheaper than you would have 6 months ago, a lot cheaper, and yet you're doing it. Maybe that makes sense because your land is about to launch. Maybe that makes sense because of Rebellion and you're trying to get more Rebellion packs. But I would encourage people to think through the long-term play with summoners, because I think there are cards that are in the Modern League that are particularly special, that offer something that will have a great value even when they reach wild. But it might take a growth of audience to create that demand, because some of these summoners that are on the screen right now, Obsidian, but even these legendaries are probably the bigger benefits. You know, Mimosa Nightshade, somebody's giving it away $170 for a max level Mimosa. It's a great card, but it's untamed and it's not going to be modern soon. And so people are like, I don't want it anymore. Someone is going to buy that and really enjoy that card. It's a powerful card. As I saw some of the other examples, Jotun's under $1,000. That's a 6 copy. That's a 6 BCX. A powerful card, man. Val Namor. Wait, what are you selling for? Nada? Kitty was in here for 1,700. Oh my goodness. Yeah, 1,700 for a max copy right there. 1,000 for a 7 BCXer. That's a great deal. I mean, is it though? You have to decide. You have to decide what you want, what you need. But I do believe that these cards that are in the modern and will move to the wild will carry value forward. It's going to be a question of recognizing the long-term perspective, because perhaps $1,000 can be used in a different way by this card holder right now with Rebellion or Land launching. But the longevity of one of the best summoners, maybe the best summoner of all time, is going to persist even when it's only applicable in the wild format. That's the beauty of this game. That's the special thing, the secret sauce about why these NFTs are interesting, because even after they lose some of their utility, they have a persisting utility and a collectability that is desirable. And so as long as the player base is stable or growing, and I think it grows in the future, you have interesting dynamics where these BCX shrink and the demand grows, and that's a recipe for price appreciation. So whether it's alphas and betas, and yes, they're no longer in the meta, and no, they don't even necessarily need to stay in the meta to carry their value forward, because they are so scarce, because they always have a niche and a utility and bonuses that we talked about. But then the same will be true one day for Untamed. The same will be true one day for Dice. The same will be true one day for Rebellion. And that's the cool thing about Splinterlands. So even when they're no longer meta, they still have a function and a utility that allow them to be important from a collectible standpoint. And that's where the price appreciation can be relied upon, if I'm right about my thesis. You guys let me know in my comments below whether you think I am. Have an amazing day. God bless.